Good evening. Welcome to Dope Sheet. But if you thought this was a new late-night show on drugs, sorry. Actually, it is a late-night show on drugs, but the fix is animation. And maybe you'll get hooked. Lights! On Dope Sheet tonight, we surf the wild web, bring you hidden treasure from animation's past sensations, and launch a student's career. We also discuss why animation is more real than life. But first, we hang in the hood with The Simpsons, Beavis and Butthead, and The Hills to find out why toons are taking over TV.
Bad toys, bad toys.
We have a show here called Cops, which is documentary footage. A camera crew will go around and follow a particular police officer all over through their daily routines. And we were given the challenge of kind of duplicating that in a clay animation world.
All right, pop the trunk. Oh! Hello, what's this?
It's just
What's this?
snow from the North Pole.
Santa, you're under arrest.
Oh, come on. Boy, you
Better not. Oh, there he goes, get him!
We have a great love of making fun of popular culture. And, you know, it's all that fluff that so many people take so seriously. We like to skewer and destroy and brutalize.
You bastards!
Yeah! Somehow audiences can accept heroism of a traditional kind and expressions of undying loyalty from cartoon characters and be moved by them in a way that they really don't, by and large, accept anymore from human beings. So I think cartoon characters in that sense have become surrogates. We allow them to have emotions that we ourselves are embarrassed to express.
You'll learn that being an animator is very hard work. But if you pour your heart into your labor, you just might pull off a miracle. He said pull off. Yeah.
I mean, Beavis and Butthead particularly, to me, worked as the classic loser personality that I've been, actually missing for years from either the big or the small screen. That was the first thing I really liked about them, was that they were so despicable. They were almost subhuman, and it was like a breath of fresh air.
All right, come out with your hands up. 2 cups of coffee, an auto freshener that says Capricorn, and something with coconut on it.
It does shock me, though, that a show like The Simpsons is indeed, with its huge audience, is obviously embraced by more than hipsters in LA and New York. It is watched by The Simpsons, essentially. And to me, that's a heartening fact about the kind of material American audiences and American sort of middle American audiences can accommodate.
Should I talk about my neurosis now?
Nothing would make me happier, Ray.
You're faking it.
No, I mean it. I would like to get into that area. That's what
I don't think anyone would have considered doing as sophisticated a show as Dr. Katz if there hadn't been the success of The Simpsons. The show is a critical success and has a very strong following, has a cult following in the United States, and it's not just one cult, it's all the cults. We specialize in long pauses.
Laura?
Yeah?
Would you do me a favor? Could you come in here for a minute? I need to talk to you about something.
About what?
It's the kind of show that a father and a son can watch, a mother and a daughter. A father and a daughter cannot watch it. No, I think they can watch it too. 2 daughters and a grandparent. A mouse. I don't know.
They are also simply better written than almost all situation comedies on television. Instead of lavishing money and energy on expensive actors, as sitcoms have to, all the money in animated series can go to the writing.
Yep. Work this shift long enough, you see some pretty animated things.
We don't get much resistance in doing heavy-handed or potentially offensive things from the network too much. And in a way, because of the show we're producing, we owe it to our audience to test those boundaries and push those limits. The thing that we're producing is a parody of a American standard thing that's been going on for 100 years, the Jerry Lewis Muscular Dystrophy Association Telethon. So in this case, we're doing the Argyle Exsication Association, which I don't know what that word means, but the writers told me it means actually when clay dries out and cracks.
Oh, baby. This is so uncool.
Someone once in the TV industry said to me, if a show can skew bimodally, it has a good shot at being a hit. Meaning, if it can both appeal to the dirtball audience and the intellectuals at the same time, you've got a hit.
The piece does seem to be attuned to a certain aspect of our fragmented modern society.
And now on Dope Sheet, never before seen on television or any other known format, we're proud to present this week's animation premiere. The first of our 1-minute premieres from British students is by Jan Otto Erzvag, created with partially lit paper relief. Our next story looks at animation's unique ability to express the personal, the internal, and the unfilmable.
My name is Beryl, yes, you all know me. I represent the girls on assembly. So you think I'm just a fatty, but there's more to me than...
Animation is the perfect medium to express inner truth, angst, and the innate frailty of the human condition. For example, the inherent dichotomy between a bawdy night in Bangor and one's perception of physical self.
So come on, all you women, you got nothing to fear. Forget about your figures, body, booty bodies, yeah!
Joanna Quinn's observations of the minutiae of Welsh pubs, clubs and salons led to a series of films featuring Beryl and her raunchy experiences.
I've just turned into a sad person, really. I quite like being alone. I'm an only child, you see, so I'm probably perfect, because I never had any friends. So I'm used to being on my own. So you just sit and you imagine what it would be like when you finish doing this boring film. And just look forward to the future.
The solitary nature of making animation almost invites confessionals, whilst attracting loners.
I do like being on my own. I do like working on my own. Animation does take it to the extreme, though. It's a very, very slow process. But in that process, something happens, something wonderful happens. You sort of develop your ideas and your what you're dealing with, the subject matter, and even in the characters that you're animating, they develop. You get in under their skins in a way.
The most poignant way of getting under the skin of your character is to use your own.
That you go into this little room and you just sit and it's you and your light box, and it's a very direct and personal relationship, and you're pouring things out of your mind and your fingertips to make this film. So in that respect, it's very personal in the nature of its creation. I made Over the Rainbow because I was bulimic for about 6 years, and I was finding it very, very difficult to get counselling and therapy to work for me. And I felt that it would be the perfect sort of therapy. I could work it out of my system doing it that way, that it would be very cathartic. It then began to go hand in hand with the therapy that I was having. And as I worked through the film, I seemed to work through my problems at the same time. As I started to rationalise my problems through therapy, I started to you know, express them and externalise them through the film as well. And they just kind of went hand in hand, and it just worked very, very well.
Can you imagine if you're in a situation, you create a scene which is like from your nightmares in the past, and there I am as a director directing it and saying to the man that no, that's not very convincing, hit her harder. It was like well, very cathartic to be working on and recreating these horrific images again, and looking at them as an adult, as a grown-up person, and saying, yes, that's the past.
Life is short, and I'm not vain about it. I just draw whatever I feel like disclosing about myself. You have to express that crazy beast inside, or you'll go nuts.
John Callahan was an alcoholic until one day, drunk, he had a car accident which left him quadriplegic.
My drinking only increased. Hey, there's a $5 bill in my left shirt pocket. Go get me a short case, would you?
It seems that people who are offended by my humor, certain things are very often, and almost always often, the people who do not share the affliction that my humor is, pointing out, like disability or divorce or bulimia or death.
You've got a problem, Callahan.
I receive letters from people who have a limb missing, a hook for a hand, and they write letters thanking me for having this kind of humor, which I think they kind of think of it as survivor's humor, sort of. It's Linda Ellerby once said, she was reading my book, she said that gallows humor makes sense when you're standing on the gallows.
But humour is often necessary, a mitigating factor when you're laying your bleeding heart out on the slab.
The nursing home attendants removed my shoes and discovered my toes had been nearly scraped off. I was tossed out on my ear.
The final image of the film, the doll trapped in the glass. Even a couple of days ago, there was again this child tapping on my consciousness, saying that, I need attention. Until you actually let that child have its say and somehow discover why it's doing that, you never get rest from it.
Welcome back to our regular slot, Under the Influence. What do we take inspiration from? From the vast panoply of ancient history? Or from a look at a book? Or indeed from our century of scintillating celluloid? Obviously, in a few years' time, animators will be claiming Dope Sheet as an influence.
Hi, my name's Alison DeVere. I'm an animator who makes narrative films. I like making story films, actually, stories that are going to entertain people, whether they're fantastic or based in real life. I think by the time they're animation, they are still in the realm of fantasy anyway. I think the animated film that influenced me very much was a marvellous film called L'Idée by Bertolt Bartos, and it was the first time that I'd ever seen an animation film which contained a grand idea and did it beautifully, aesthetically, and this, I think, probably always pushed me on all the way through in a certain way. I was always influenced by paintings, by painters. I've especially been influenced by Karl Veschke, who designed the drawings in Psyche and Eros, and his drawings have always been so straightforward and so strong, and so I know that has influenced me, and I've tried to do a similar thing in film. I'd always thought, really, I would love to be a filmmaker, but I would like to have had actors and actresses, but that wasn't possible, so I just learned more and more to draw them. When animals are used in the ancient Egyptian and Indian wall paintings, you often see the deities represented with the heads of animals. And this was not making the animals human in any way. This was endowing the deity with the strength or the cunning or the intelligence or whatever the essential quality of that animal was. I mean, at the present time, I'm doing the opposite thing, little furry animals, mouse and mole, and they are very charming. They're delightful. They are actually humanizing animals. It's the other side of it. It's quite a fascinating subject, I think.
Oh, Mouse, how I missed you. I missed you too, Mo. Oh, and Hedgehog sent you something special for 11s. Honey flapjack's my favourite.
The trouble about animation is it's so horribly time-consuming. I'm ever so sorry, but I have to go. That train goes at 5:02 to Penzance, and the next one is in the middle of the night. Bye.
And now we proudly present Sensation, a look at experimental animation from the past. In this story, we're going to look at the boundless potential for the internet to change not only animation, but our perception of the moving image itself. Modern, eh? However, I do have one small quibble. The technology at present can be a little frustrating.
Your application to access Dope Sheet has unexpectedly quit. Please restart and try again. Shit! The site debuted at the Sundance Film Festival in March of this year, and we felt that experimental animation really was an adult and mature art form that just was basically underexposed.
As part of their shrewdly targeted brand promotion, Absolute Vodka commissioned international animators and exhibited their work on the web.
Hopefully a lot of the animators who are on the site have achieved a wider recognition as a result of this, and the exposure that people can have over the World Wide Web where they just maybe wouldn't be exposed to it any other way.
Hey, come on, let's check it out. Funky Hollywood company Spumco took their creations onto the web for the freedom it offers.
Yeah, I'm the webmaster of the Spumco site, and little pal helps me here. We get a lot of mail from people who are very happy to find completely uncensored cartoons.
I'm a cartoonist, and I like to make cartoons, and I don't want anybody to tell me how to make the cartoons. I just want to make the goddamn things. But that situation doesn't exist anymore in America. It's no longer a free country. It's communist or something. And you can only make cartoons that are politically correct, just like everything else. You can only make cars that are politically correct, and you can only make movies that are politically correct. The internet eliminates the need for distribution, which is one of the world's great evils. Anybody can get on the internet. Anybody can say what they want to say. Anybody can make what they want to make, put it on the internet, and the whole world can find it. If it's good, it'll be popular. If it's not good, it won't be popular. So only the really talented people, for the most part, will survive. And we hope we're among them.
Wow! Look at all this!
The technology at this point for animation on the web is primitive, but it's much better than it was last year. We're at the point now, which nobody thought we could get to, is we can actually tell stories in animated form. You can't have as many in-betweens. You know, it's not as smooth as a Disney cartoon. But then again, Scooby-Doo has no in-betweens either. So in that respect, you don't have as many drawings, but you can have much better drawings because you don't have an idiot boy standing over your shoulder telling you to draw bad, which you do at every cartoon studio nowadays. The interactivity is an unknown right now, where that's going to lead, because nobody's really done it yet.
Wow!
I know it'll happen. It's going to happen. And where it's going to lead, we're not even really sure yet.
No surfing puns, please. Jan Mallis is part of a team working on Vermal, the next big leap for storytelling on the web.
Vermal stands for VRML, Virtual Reality Modeling Language. It is the 3D scripting format for the web. And what VRML does is it enables you to create spaces, worlds that you can travel into and through, so that you're no longer limited to pictures, 2D pictures, text, reading. You can now have true three-dimensional graphical interface, and through that you can, I believe, communicate that much more.
Hey, what is this, a zoo or something? How about a little privacy here?
We knew that with the advent of new technologies, with pushing what VRML and the web was capable of doing, that it was time to introduce a new character. And that's where we came up with our character, Bliss. And Bliss is a humanistic character, and she lives within the world of the web.
100% pure Vermal Cyber Girl.
Really what we're talking about here is we're talking about stage sets, and that's really the challenge for animators. It brings in new skills, because of course if you're presenting a tableau in a 3D world, you've got to think about how it looks from different viewpoints. When you're doing a standard animation, whether it's a model animation, 2D animation, or even a computer animation, you're usually only seeing one viewpoint. The viewer themselves has no choice but the viewpoint you've chosen. With these 3D worlds, with Vermal especially, the user, the viewer, can change the viewpoint.
You smell something fishy around here?
Part of what interaction allows you to do is to change the storyline or the narrative as you're progressing through it, so that you can have a character actually stop, look at you, and ask you at that particular point in time to make a decision for them. So you can have a lot of fun involving the viewer in the narrative that you're talking about.
We could see a far richer visual 3D environment in the very near future. But it may, on the other hand, if I can play devil's advocate, it may be seen in a few years' time to be a flash in the pan. It's just a gimmick, a bit like sort of 3D in the cinema was a gimmick.
Internet's uncharted territory. It's the frontier. It's brand new. It's not only that we're going to be able to repeat what the past did, we're going to be able to invent new things that we haven't even figured out yet.
And if you'd like to find out more about the animation and animators featured on the show, you can access Dope Sheet on the Channel 4 website.
Tune in next week. Are you dead meat in the desert?